And joining me now for an exclusive interview is Oana Țoiu, Romania's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation.
I want to start with the United States cutting its troop deployment in Romania. Can NATO, and especially its eastern flank, trust Washington to keep the alliance safe?
First of all, it's a common responsibility, not just a Washington responsibility, and we need to keep each other safe within NATO, but also we need to be sure we have the proper defense and deterrence systems also nationally. For example, the first defensive alliance that Romania has ever signed is with Poland more than 100 years ago, just to give an example on the continent. In what is concerning the recent decision of US, in that sense, obviously, Romania would have wanted, as well as the entire European Union, I would assume, that we have a steady presence of US or an increase. But the current decision, which is to reassess the number of troops they have in Europe, specifically the brigade that had exercises in Romania, Hungary, and Slovakia, that is currently in Germany, coming back to the United States, is a decision that does not affect the long-term and short-term defense and deterrence capacity that we have on the eastern flank, because it is a pre-prepared decision in the sense that the United States has announced its NATO allies for a long time that they're going to review their posture. We didn't have a clarity on the numbers, and we didn't have a clarity on where will that happen. Just recently did we have that clarity, and their public announcement as well, a public announcement that they briefed Romania on previously. But in the same time, it is within our common responsibility that we increase our capabilities. It is actually a conversation we're having within NATO, with United States as well, that when we look at the current year and at the next year, we make sure together that we have the proper defense and deterrence capabilities. Specifically in terms of the abilities we have on air defense, as we have seen a number of challenges from Russia on that.
I guess the question is about the message this sends, because earlier in the month you spoke with Secretary of State Marco Rubio about, and I quote from the American readout, strengthened defence, energy and border security cooperation. To me, this seems like doing the opposite of strengthening defence and border security.
There is actually a heated conversation in the United States as well from the Congress. We're pretty clear on the fact that obviously internal decisions of the United States are taken in the United States and communicated as such there. But from Romania's perspective, what we were doing on a diplomatic level in the meeting we had with the Secretary of State, in the conversations we previously had in Congress as well, is to make sure that we share our perspective, which is the importance that the Black Sea has, the challenges that we see on the eastern border, and also how important our transatlantic partnership is, not just in terms of defense, but also in terms of making sure there is a clear perception of stability in the region that also benefits our neighbors, for example, that are not yet members of NATO. My experience in the conversations we've had with members of Congress or with the State Department is that there is an understanding of that. Why the Pentagon has had a different assessment, that is something that they need to clarify as well. But from the conversations we are having at the NATO level, that different assessment is based on their analysis that the European Union and the European partners within NATO have increased our capabilities together. We have a higher focus on the eastern flank together as well. And the common assessment is that, therefore, the future plans of NATO are able to be future plans that not just ensure the current deterrence and defense capacity, but also increase the deterrence and defense capacity with a larger burden on European members than the United States.
Do you agree with Donald Trump's assessment that this troop resizing is no big deal?
We know that the perspective of the United States is at the Congress level that there needs to be an increased focus on the Black Sea and on Romania, but from a State Department level, and from the statements of President Donald Trump, we understand that the assessment of the United States is that the current risks that are present at the border can be deterred, and we have the defense capacity together with the current presence of the United States troops and with increased capabilities together with our allied members.
So is it a big deal for you or not?
For us, the relationship with the United States is very important for Romanians and for Romania, also in terms of how stable, how secure is the transatlantic partnership, but also our strategic partnership. It is very important for us that we had United States officials that reconfirmed the power of this partnership, the fact that the decision did not target Romania in the sense of a signaling in any stage the relationship we are currently having. We're having the U.S. ambassador to NATO that has had clear public statements on the fact that the U.S. assessment of the current partnership is one of a strong partnership. His statements were that we are in this partnership in one of our best moments. In the same time, it is very clear that for Romanians and for us, when we look at this decision, it is obviously a decision that we do not necessarily celebrate, although it is a decision we respect. It has been very important for us and for NATO as well that the United States has announced us previously. Although this was just a matter of days, we had a plan to announce it together with the United States in the same time when they published the official announcement. It was synchronized with Romania's decision to publicly put it in the same time, so our citizens hear from us together. It was unfortunate that this was leaked before the final announcement, because that has prevented both of our countries to be able to announce it together.
So you're confident this won't impact Romania's relationship with the United States, but you're not happy about it?
Romania's relationship with the United States is a key relationship and one that we are focusing on investing more, one that we're focused on using also to increase, for example, our economic partnership and to discover and grow together opportunities of common investment in the defense industry. All of these are part of the conversations we've had with the Department of State as well. And we're going to have future conversations in NATO format as well. We do not think at all that it is a sign of the relationship that we're having, but rather an assessment that they have done that is an assessment of risks, an assessment of common capacity of deterrence and defense. Romania's position, though, is a position that is very clear in the sense of the fact that we want, together with our allied members and with the United States, to make sure that we have an increased deterrence and defense. Romania is safe now. NATO is safe with the capabilities that we're having, with the capabilities that we're going to have next year. But in the same time, we all understand we need to step up our budgets, to step up our investments, and to step up our common efforts. And in that sense, we're going to participate at the Helsinki summit to discuss the eastern flank. And also we're looking with great attention to the next NATO summit that we're having here in Bucharest, the NATO Industry Forum that we're having here in Bucharest at the beginning of November.
And speaking of Bucharest, there was also talk in your meeting with Secretary Rubio about Romania's role in delivering security for the Black Sea. So could that stretch of water be NATO's Achilles heel?
It's not going to be the Achilles heel. That stretch of water is geopolitically essential. We've been having these conversations with Turkey as well. Actually, next week I'm going to fly to Ankara to continue the conversations we're having. Also on the Black Sea, security has been on the top of the agenda of the meeting of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs within the European Union. And also, as you have mentioned, it was part of the focus we had in the conversation with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, because we see together the importance of the Black Sea in terms of defense, in terms of security, but also in terms of energy, in terms of connections, also in terms of the undersea cables that are going to enhance our connectivity also from a digital perspective.
I'm curious where you stand on Ukraine right now, because we've heard so much about peace negotiations, about getting Presidents Trump, Zelensky and Putin around a table, and yet now US intelligence agencies are reporting they see no sign Russia is ready to compromise. We're also hearing about nuclear testing again. I mean, as we sit here, are we effectively back at square one?
our assessment from Romania is that the sanction packages are absolutely essential. And here also the decision that President Donald Trump took in terms of sanctions, we believe to be an essential decision. At the European Union level, we're also discussing not just how we apply the 19th package, but also what are the measures that we're going to include on the 20th package of sanctions. On Romania's side, one of the things that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, together with the Ministry of Justice, we have done recently is we've proposed a law that increases the penalties and also introduces jail time for those that want to go around the sanctions.
Do you believe we're getting closer to an Article 5, this clause that says an attack on one is an attack on all, on that article being invoked? We spoke to exiled Russian opposition leader Garry Kasparov this week, who told us that President Putin will need to test Article 5 in the coming months as he can't back down for fear of his regime collapsing. So do you see that being a possibility where NATO is forced to act?
Article 5 is the main security guarantee we're having as allies. And it is very important, and I was there at the NATO summit in The Hague, that President Donald Trump has had and continues to have a clear commitment on Article 5. I think that is the most important thing from the United States and the commitment from the United States on the security of Europe as well.
Minister, I want to end with a simple question. Whether in Romania, Moldova, Poland, Ukraine or elsewhere across the continent, Moscow is putting Europe to the test. So if Vladimir Putin was sitting here with us today, what would you tell him?
That his attempts are going to fail, but also that we understand together, Romania, Poland, members of the European Union and our neighbors, that we need not be naive and that we need to become stronger in this process, not just in terms of defense and in terms of our armies, but also in terms of how we protect in our societies our democracies, how we invest in education and critical thinking, how we become more transparent and close to our citizens in the decisions that we're taking, and how we collectively realize that the European project is not a given. It is also something that needs to be defended by having the courage and doing the effort that is needed to improve it.
Oana Țoiu, Romania's Minister of Foreign Affairs, thank you again for your time. And that's all for World News tonight. Do stay with us here on TVP World. I'm Dahmen. Good night.